Let's now take our attention to Mokwa, where a flood disaster has killed at least 150 lives, with the numbers still rising as more bodies are recovered.
The devastating flood that struck the Niger State local government area last Thursday follows days of heavy rainfall, displacing about 3,000 people. The federal government has expressed its profound sorrow over the floods, with the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, saying that security and emergency agencies are on the search and rescue operation. Well, joining us to discuss this rather sad development is founder and CEO of Community Development and Climate Care, Richard Abubakar Umar. Good morning to you, Mr. Umar, and thank you for being here on a Monday morning. Can you quickly highlight some of the... Great. Can you quickly highlight some of the major challenges that residents are going through, and let us into the impact of what's really happened? Because what we do and what we've seen from our reporters, the site is not looking any good.
Yeah, it's actually a devastating situation down there in Mokwa local government area of Niger State, and it has been a mourning situation for the people over there. And actually, ever since this flood occurred, the local government has been proactive in being on ground, ensuring quick response, and ensuring that families are put together in one place. But you know, the people always want to stay on their own and try to find their own shelter. But they have been trying their best, especially in the area of recovering of missing persons and bodies recovered. As at yesterday, over 151 bodies have been recovered, and even before the end of yesterday, I learned that they discovered 2 more bodies. Yeah, so I was on phone with the local government chairman, with the council chairman, and he updated me with some information that the local government has been suffering this for years now, and I got to understand that the flood is a flash flood, and actually there used to be a rail track that prevents the water from getting to the township. So actually, when the water was coming down from Mashegu area, that's Mashegu local government area, with full force, with a heavy downpour, it overpowered that particular rail track and got its way into the township, and that what caused the major devastation. And as we speak currently, though NEMA MD was on ground the day after the flood, NEMA is on ground. They've set up their camps, and the relief materials have been coming down to the people. Medical care have been getting to the people, but more bodies are being recovered. A lot of families are missing. A lot of people are looking for their loved ones. They are yet to ascertain whether if they are alive or dead, and they need to know if they were actually displaced. So these are the current situation on ground, and it has been very pathetic.
Very pathetic situation indeed. We understand this is an act of God, but let's retrace our steps back a bit. We understand it's an act of God. Are there things that could have reduced the death toll significantly that could have been done? Could you talk us through the sequence of events?
Okay, yeah, from my discoveries, I got to understand that there's a rain track, and a lot of people built their houses on this rain track. And Mokwa local government is a local government that houses the Jebba Dam, and it's not far from Kainji Dam. So, but that was not the situation. It wasn't the dam. But the people, I got to know that they built their houses on this rain track, and those are the most affected by this flood. So if we had a proper urban planning in the local government headquarters of Mokwa, we will have averted a lot of deaths as we speak. Because if you notice, the water divided the township into 2. doing away with the major bridge where the water normally follows and just splitted them into two. So if the urban development guys were able to create more awareness and move people or stop people from building on that particular track, we wouldn't have had more casualties the way we did. And again, last year, I believe the governor was in Mokwa, and the issue of gully erosion, the issue of flood was brought before him, and I believe they awarded a contract to address that situation. I think the deputy governor was on ground together with the DG NEMA. He was even saying that last week at council, they were discussing about Mokwa local government, but unfortunately, the incident had just occurred. So you see, those proactive measures, if they were put in place and all those water channels were properly constructed, I believe the devastation wouldn't have been this much. And though globally, flood water is now seen as a natural resource for countries that really have water resources like raw water, they actually find a way of harnessing flood water into useful resources. But unfortunately, it is causing devastation here and taking lives and properties.
You speak about contracts that have been awarded to be able to deal with certain issues, but there's an NGO called the Environmental Watch that has criticized the federal government. They say that 5 months into the fiscal year and contracts have not yet been allocated. They criticize Engineer Dave Umahi for focusing solely on the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway and not being able to implement certain projects that would help with the construction of roads and gutters, in the state. What's your response to those who blame the federal government, blame the Minister of Works because they say that he hasn't implemented this, whereas other MDAs have allocated, they've started to implement their budget for 2025?
Yeah, it's, well, I wouldn't blame them for blaming federal government, because what the contract I was just talking about being awarded was by the state government. It was the effort of the former governor of Niger State. But be it as it may, the incident in Mokwa didn't just start. It has been there over the years. There have been media reports on TVC, on other media channels. But even 2 years ago, there was a media report I saw 2 years ago on Mokwa itself. So I believe these are avenues to draw attention for budgets appropriation, because we cannot be sitting down here having headlines every day and MDAs that are charged with these responsibilities. I believe NEMA report should have passed through the Ministry of Works, Ministry of Water Resources, and other relevant MDAs, Humanitarian Affairs and Co., to look at it and say, okay, communities in these red flag zones deserve all the necessary attention they need. But unfortunately, that is not the case. So when you see political will or government attention going to a particular area, you feel it's more politically motivated than people driven. So I wouldn't blame the NGO for blaming the federal government for negligence or lack of proactiveness in taking action. And I call on even the Federal Ministry of Environment, NEMA, NIMET, to see how best they can have this synergy of synchronizing their data on drawing attentions on who does what, who addresses what, because they need to have like a multi-sectoral committee, not just leaving it at the decks of NEMA, but beyond NEMA, so that we say, okay, what caused this flood? How can we address it? You carry it in your own budget. You carry it in this year's budget. Then we have a human-driven budget, not a politically driven budget. So that's my opinion about that. And I believe they are listening and they should really, really take action so that we can avert this. Because most times I'm of the opinion that it's like NEMA and other MDAs, state MDAs, I'm happy that disasters happen when they can't even take proactive actions to address them. They shouldn't wait for disaster to happen. There are preventive measures to disasters.
Which is what?
Disaster.
I mean, what you have just said now leads me to my next question, because like you're saying that it's not something new, these flash floods. Unfortunately, lives have been lost. What do we do to ensure that we don't see a reoccurrence of this situation? Whilst we can control the flash flood, the aftermath is something that can be maybe reduced or mitigated by proper preparation. So what can we do differently to ensure that we don't have this story reported in the next few months? Because there will still be rainfalls. We're just really getting into the rainy season.
Well, I feel they already have the data of where all this flash flood or dam floods occur annually. They have the data. They know the red spots. So I believe it should be a bottom-top approach where the federal government meets with the local governments as first responders to help address this situation. Come up, like, for example, now there's a committee in place in Mokwa local government that's handling relief materials, ensuring that the people are well catered for. The MDAs at the federal level should liaise with the ones at the state level. And at the local government level, don't just stop at the state level. Get down to the local government. We could resettle these people. We could move them to a camp pending when the waters get normal. We could resettle the people. Okay. Like, for example, in the state Mokwa local government, I saw where Hyperdeck resettled a particular community, that's the Keto community. I was down there 2 years ago when I was running a documentary on the same flood, because there was an early flood the last 2 years.
Okay.
And when we got to the communities, we discovered that most of the community themselves don't want to relocate to these camps. So it's a two-way thing where we need to create more awareness, we need to create more sensitization down there and make them understand that these are temporary disasters and they could temporarily move upstream and ensure that they get what they call it, attention pending when the waters go down.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Umar, for speaking with us, and well done for the work you do. Hopefully, we would connect with you again and find out what the updates are. But thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice having you.